Hello, everybody. Live from Cannes 2018. Today, my guest is John Adams from Evolutionary Film. Hi, John. Thanks for coming
Hey,
on.
Vinka. Thanks for having me.
Hey, John, we ask everybody on our series, how did you come into this business?
So I had a bit of a strange route in because I was an army officer in the UK before I joined the film industry. And after my military career, wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And I ended up answering an advertisement in a newspaper that said ex-military personnel wanted for film work. And within a week, I'd been hired by Steven Spielberg as one of the military team on Band of Brothers. So on my second day in the film industry, I had lunch with Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, the head of HBO Television, with about 20 of us around a table. And I thought, this industry is really easy. You know, everybody should be doing this. And then after Band of Brothers, I kind of realized it was quite hard to get another job, but there was a niche in the market in the UK for a military advice agency for representing ex-military personnel. So I launched that in the year 2000, and then I kind of went through the industry as an assistant director, then a line producer, had a bit of a midlife crisis and went and did high-risk shows for Discovery Television, and then came back into the feature film world as a sales agent and distributor.
So, Evolutionary Film, I know you have many branches of what your company's doing right now. Mm-hmm. Tell us about those.
So Evolutionary Films was formed 4 years ago. And it was really, the idea was to consolidate all of the different strands of what I and some of my partners have been doing within the industry. So primarily we come from a production background, but what we'd found from making feature films is that handing them over to a sales agent is not always the best plan because you lose control of your IP. So we wanted to do our own film sales, and we started coming to market, and as a result we started representing other people's films as well, so that suddenly became kind of a trading sales agency around which everything else kind of circulates. We then have a private equity fund in the UK which funds feature film projects, so we're doing that under Enterprise Investment Scheme, and then we also now have a UK distribution label as well. So it's kind of a vertically integrated mini studio that we've set up over the last few years.
And tell us what you do at Cannes. What's the chaos of Cannes for you?
So Cannes is primarily about selling films. Producers quite often come to Cannes and say, will you represent our titles? And actually producers need to understand that the last week in the year that we want to be looking at potential acquisitions is in the 1 week when we get the chance to sit down with all of our film buyers. So this is about us selling films to the buyers here.
And you were here in Cannes a few weeks ago.
Yes,
MIP.
we were. Yeah.
So tell us what MIP is. How is that compared to the Cannes Film Festival? What's the difference?
It's much less glamorous. It's much less glamorous. There's less boats out at sea. It's much less glamorous. Less kind of festival screenings and kind of big premieres. It's a television market, so it's much more about broadcasters licensing and syndicating their television content around the world.
Do you have any mentors in this business?
Yeah, I did. The person I'd like to mention is when I was starting out as a producer, I sent a screenplay to a guy called Ron Purdy. Now, Ron was a veteran. He started his film career in the 1950s, and he was a line producer and producer through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The character Purdy in The New Avengers is named after Ron. He was one of the producers on New Avengers. He did all of Michael Winner's films, including Death Wish. So he was a really established guy. And Ron kind of took me under his wing and taught me about budgeting and scheduling and the mechanics, the actual hands-on mechanics of how films are made. And I shared an office with him for 6 years at Shepperton Studios as a result of just sending him a script unsolicited, and we got on and we ended up as business partners. And Ron and I produced a number of films together.
Have you seen any industry trends that are new and coming up that we should know about?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is talking about the rise of subscription VOD platforms like Netflix and Amazon, and they are coming in and buying feature film content as if it was television on a flat deal. And I think that's seriously changing the way the industry is working. And also the death of DVD, which distributors around the world are finding in various territories that DVD returns are wiping out their profits from other revenues, and so advances are going down because there's so much uncertainty, and it's a really tough market at the moment. I think for distributors, they're taking a lot of risk.
In the finance world, there have been a lot of changes coming out of the UK lately. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things the UK has done very well is provide sort of risk mitigation for investors and tax breaks and tax incentives and credits for particularly private equity investors. And what the UK Revenue has done recently is just tightened up the rules around making sure that what they're subsidising is true risk investment rather than kind of secured on pre-sales or tax credits and other securities. So you can still get very, very good incentives and quite lucrative tax breaks for investing through a UK company, but it's no longer the case that you can discount securities as part of that deal.
One thing we ask every one of our guests, if you had a close friend come into the industry or even look at a single project to put money in, what would you advise them to do to mitigate risk?
Okay. I'd probably advise them not to, but let's not go there. I think probably the best plan is due diligence on the companies that you're investing in. Make sure that you understand exactly who you're giving your money to. But more importantly, trying to ensure that if you're investing in a single film, there's a route to market for that. There's some kind of way that you're going to get your money back and a full business plan. I think a lot of film investors are given how their money is going to be spent, but not how their money is going to be recouped and what their profit share is going to be. And also, my personal feeling is that investing into a trading company rather than an individual film and actually investing across a slate of more than one film is a good way of ensuring, because we all know that films have to expend all of their money before you've even got a product to sell. So there's much more mitigation if you can spread across more than one film. So risking less across more product.
John, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Pleasure. Thank
Your
you,
busy
Vinka.
schedule, and I hope you sell a lot.
Thank you. See you soon. Thanks.
Show me the effing money. Okay, well, we're
Cool.
still live, everybody, and we're going to come back with our next guest.